A 7-hour long clash in the 10th round of the Tata Steel Masters 2022 showed us how a game at the top level can turn around within a few moments. Well, Vidit is playing with the white pieces and Ramesh Babu Pragananda, the young Indian prodigy, is playing with the black pieces. An intense game filled with turnarounds, and Vidit begins the game with 1 pawn to d4. We have knight f6, and after c4 we have e6. This is standard theory, and after bishop to b4, this game transposes into the Nimzo Indian defense. Queen c2 with the idea of stopping knight to e4, which attacks this knight here, and also, sorry for that, and also for putting pressure on, for putting defense on this knight here. So that's why the reason Queen c2, and after castles, he plays the move a3, forcing black to make a decision with this bishop. Now, if you see, black has two options: returning back the bishop to e7. Although obviously you can't return the bishop back to a4. If you think you can, you lose to b4, and after this move simply loses the bishop. Therefore, this is not an option. After a3, Pragananda simply decided to take on c3, and after the queen c3, he played the move d5. Now, the idea of d5 is that you strike in the center. And now, after bishop to g5, he played the move c5. Now, here c5, the c5 is played, although the computer suggests that dc5 would have been a better move because that doesn't lose a pawn. But after c5, Pragg has his own ideas. It is not as if he has sacrificed the pawn for free. After dc5, he played the move pawn to d4, blocking the diagonal of this queen out here and also advancing a pawn in the center. Queen f6, and he played knight b to d7. Idea is not to attack this pawn but to defend this. But if you think that this pawn is being attacked and get greedy, which most amateur players do, and play the move b4, a4 is incoming, and let's say you take here, this position is simply lost after knight to c5. For those thinking they can take on f6, this simply loses to queen a5 check, and after king to d1, we could have, let's say, anything. You could play bishop to d7 and simply leave this bishop hanging here. Go for these checks, and the position is simply lost for white. Therefore, that's how small things can be that's how small things can become big in such positions. And therefore, after knight b d7, he played the move e3 because he knew simply that this is never a threat. h6 was played, forcing white to make a decision. And he took the knight here, and after the knight takes here, he played the move long castles. The idea is to simply pressurize here, but Pragananda played the move e5. The idea being that you defend this pawn here. Knight e2, and now he played the move d3, after which he plans to go e4. Definitely that can't be allowed, so he played knight to c3, stopping the pawn from coming to e4. Bishop to g4 was played, and definitely white is not losing in exchange because you don't need to move the queen as of now. You can play the move rook captures on d3. Here black had the option of taking the queens, and after white took here, he could have won an exchange in this way, but this position is still unpredictable because although black is an exchange up, white has compensation. White has 2 pawns for this exchange out here. So white has 2 pawns for this exchange. So therefore, this was the line which Pragananda didn't opt for, and he played the move queen to a5. Now, one thing I like you guys to note is that white is 2 pawns up, and the one who has to display accurate play is black, because 2 pawns is 2 pawns, and they are really worth it. So if the only thing for black to compensate is initiative and development and piece development. So if white could regain his piece development and activity, this position could become simply winning for white. Okay, so after his, he played the move here, queen to g3 because he was being attacked here. Now Pragananda regained back the first pawn, but is still a pawn down. Rook d2 was played at the aim of developing this bishop and also unleashing the bishop's defense on this pawn on c4. He brought back the bishop in order to attack this pawn, and after b5, after b4, what we did gaining is this pawn here. For those wondering why you cannot play queen c7, is the idea of knight to b5, and you have to play queen c8 anyways. If you go for queen b8, this is very ugly looking and definitely not what someone would like to opt. Therefore, he didn't play for this move, and after b4, he went for the move queen to c8 back, giving this pawn. Greedy Weedy went on pawn hunting and played the move queen captures on e5. Bishop c4 regaining a pawn, and king to b2 was played. Maybe trying to solidify something out here. Although I don't really understand the logic behind the move king to b2. So after king b2, he had the move a5. After a5, the idea is to rip open some lines of attack against this king on b2, right? So he played the move b5. And if you are watching up till here, I'm sure you are enjoying this video. So if you are, don't forget to smash that like button. It really motivates me a lot to put up more chess content. Once you like the video and subscribe to our channel, let's move on to the next move in this game, which was bishop captures on f1. White took back and he played queen to c4, attacking this rook out here. Rook c1 was played and he played the move a4 with the idea queen b3, and then this pawn is hanging. White opted for the move knight back to b1 to defend this pawn once we have the check on b3. The computer says that instead of knight b1, the better move would have been queen c7, because queen to b5 is in the air and already white is a pawn up. So that should be the game over if white manages to trade queens. But anyways, queen e7 was not played, but we had rook knight b1. He gave a check on b3, and after king a1, we have rook a to c8. Takes, and now is when the position starts heating up a bit, because the white king seems exposed, and white is seeming to have some entry points out here. He played queen f5 and queen to c4, rook to g4, and queen back to c7, with the idea of maybe sometime playing b3 later in the position, and then you even have to play so queen a5, and rerouting here. So there could be many moves, and the main reason being that you want to reach the queen. Although queen to c1 would also have been a move. Let's see what the engine suggests in this position. So the engine suggests the move queen to c1, as I told, but queen c7 is definitely not bad. We have the move pawn to g3, defending this pawn out here. Now this pawn had not been defended yet, because I think that after here, if white could have simply taken the pawn on a4, because guys, this is not possible. Pause the video and think why this simple move is losing for black. Yes guys, very simple, absolutely correct. We have the move queen captures on c8, so this was not a possibility. Therefore rook captures on a4 could have been played here, but we didn't opt for that, and he instead played the move pawn to g3. He played the move b6, and now this pawn is simply being lost here. He took it, and now knight back to d7, with the idea of simply very clearly rerouting the knight to c4, and then the knight is coming to b6. We had rook to e5, and now we play the move g6, queen to f4, and after queen c5. Okay, so why didn't he play the queens? Is the reason simple. Black is 2 pawns down, and if the queens are off the board, the game is over. There's nothing much left for black to do if the queens are exchanged. Therefore, exchanging the queens is not an option at the moment. Queen c5, and here all the commentators from all different streams like Chess.com, Chess, and everyone was discussing here that Vidit would definitely not play the move queen captures on h6. Well, why is this bad is we're going to see in the game, because unfortunately Vidit did play the move queen captures on h6. Before we move on to the move queen captures on h6, the correct move here would have been rook to b4, defending this pawn. And why is they gonna know now. So he played the move queen h6, and now came the simple, very simple move queen captures on b5, which simply wins away the game for black. Yes, you heard it correct. It simply gives black a winning advantage. Now the very obvious move for white is to play the move rook to h4. But once again, I'd like you guys to pause the video and find why rook h4 is a huge blunder in this position. Pretty simple here. Rook h4 is met with this check. This rook has vacated the square and now he can give this check, after which black is forced to play something like rook to d4. If you wonder why black cannot play queen c king a2, is because after this here, and this is a checkmate. So that is what also has to be taken care of. So after queen b5, rook h4 is definitely not an option. Now what else? If you don't play rook h4, what else? The only move which seems to be logical is the move a4, and that's what Vidit played here. The main idea being that you can't move this rook anywhere because it simply gives away this square to the queen to give a check. And that's what I think Vidit missed from a distance, that once the rook leaves the square here, a check would be simply possible. He played a4, and this pawn hunt became a huge misfortune to Vidit now. After a4, queen c6 was played with the idea that you need to keep an eye on the square on f6, because in case white plays rook h4, it has to be met with queen to f6. Now after queen f4, we have the move knight to c4, after knight to c5, and after rook to c4 here. Very tempting move here is to play knight to b3, but it simply makes the position unclear after such a line. Okay, once again, as I told before in the video, black is an exchange up, but white has 2 pawns for it, and if somehow white manages to coordinate the knight here in some way, the knights come and the king and knight, if the king and knight is kept together, then this position could be drawn to some extent, and even white could be on the driving seat, if I may say so, although this position is technically leading to somewhat a draw. But therefore Pragananda it was very obvious that Pragananda wasn't gonna play the move knight to b3 check. After rook to c4, the move here, I'd like you guys to pause the video and find what move simply wins the position for black. The move here is to play rook to a8, and I just want you guys to see how strong the move is, because after, let's say you play something like knight c3 to defend this pawn, b5, and the game is over. This is met with this move here, and there's literally nothing which white can do. Let's say you try to play anything. Let's say you try to move this rook to b4, knight d6 loses here simply the rook, and this is very difficult to save for white. But rook a8 was the move which every grandmasters and all the commentators were hoping Pragananda to find, and which he missed actually, and he played the move rook to d8. Now this came up as a huge upset for all the commentators and every chess fan, because the position had taken such a turnaround, very exciting game, but then you see Pragananda blunders with rook to d8. Well, this is not exactly giving the game away, but still somehow now white could have managed to coordinate his pieces with accurate play. But accurate play was not something which was coming to the players on this day. Vidit should have played the move rook to b4 here, and queen c5 would consolidate the position for white. But what he did here is he blundered with rook to c2. Yes, he did blunder with rook to c2. And now what white could have done is, black could have done is, he could have again played the move rook e8, rook a8, and this again is winning for black. Just to show you a line here, we could have something like rook to a2 here, and after knight b3 check, the king is coming to b2, and now guys, queen to c1 check, the king takes here, and this is definitely getting lost, going to be a lost position for white. Yes, so that's what rook a8 could have proved to be in the position. Again, he played the move queen to h1. Why was he missing rook h8 consistently was what we don't know. He didn't have an eye on the h file since the start of this such complications in the game. Now we played queen to b4, and and guys, I really won't take much of your time because the video is getting longer. So let's cover a few more moves and then we could end this video. So after knight to a4, the idea is that after queen a4 you want to play rook to a8. What Pragananda made was that after rook a4, this and what it could have taken here, and for those who and for like it seems to that this position is ultimately gonna end in a draw. Like it is not very clear that who is winning in this position, but Vidit was not in a mood to draw. Yes, everybody in the commentary was thinking that Vidit was losing here, but Vidit Gujrathi thought that Pragananda could somehow mess up this position, and therefore he played the move rook to d2, not agreeing for a draw. Now he played the move rook to c8, although rook a8 was also an option for him. And after rook c8, and a queen to e7 was played, after which he simply dropped back the queen here. The idea being that after the queen comes, if the rook tries to come to d7, knight c4 check, and on a discover check, the rook will be lost here. He played rook to a2, b4 was played, and after queen to b4, queen a8 back. Rook a3, and after a few pawns were lost here, we had this position, white has regained his pawn, and after a few moves in the game, we reached this position where black is a pawn up, and it was in this position that Vidit Gujrathi posted his resignation, giving Ramesh Babu Pragananda the victory in this topsy-turvy game. So here for last insights in the game, this position is simply lost for white because anything you do, let's say you play something like check here, this pawn is lost and the game is over. So that was the reason Vidit resigned the game, and it brought an end to the game. Many people say that Vidit has given away a winning chance in the tournament through this game. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section of this video. I hope you enjoyed the commentary and the detailed explanation of this game. Meet you in some next video. Thank you for watching. Until then, bye bye.